南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。We pay homage to our respected teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Good. Nice. Where is this? You haven't figured it out? Really? No?
Well, I know it's Chilliwack.
Oh, you have. Okay. This is Chilliwack. This is Chilliwack. It's from Mount Tom.
Oh, now. I couldn't figure out.
You know where that little, on middle of Mount Tom, where this curve around. I used to go up that trail in the morning with Eva. We used to go at 6:30 in the morning, eh? Yeah. For a walk every day. Yeah. That is Chilliwack, beautiful Chilliwack. From a trail called Mount Tom Trail. It's beautiful. You can see actually Po Lam from there. Somewhere there, right? No, actually from that corner you can see Po Lam. Yeah. Have you been up there? Mount Tom? Yeah. Yeah. I bet he has changed a lot now. We should go up there again. I don't know. With my 2 walking sticks. Goldie can pull me, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I like this picture. It's beautiful Chilliwack. Okay. So you want to test or you don't want to test? I'm sure you are all prepared. I'm sure you memorized all your bojangas. I'm sure you memorize all your the 5 what do you call? The indriyas. Yeah. I'm sure you remember. Memorized. Even Laurie has memorized them. So yeah, it's so funny to actually know that memorizing is really not a practice in the West, in the education system in the West. It's so eye-opening. Yeah, in Hong Kong. I think in China too, in Hong Kong, memorizing is one thing. We need to do dictation. Do you do dictation here?
Not in the way that you're
India?
I do it in ESL for English language learners.
Yeah.
They don't do it in the regular classroom.
Oh, no dictation. Oh, really? Wow. So you don't need to memorize how to spell things. It just comes by itself, right?
Google.
Now you have Google, yeah. But you never used to have Google, right? We memorize. Sometimes it's called silent dictation. That means the teacher said, okay, I want this passage. So you actually dictate, you write out. And sometimes she will, say it out, and then you write down. You write down whatever. Meet people, please. Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh, all right. So yeah, so that's why it's very easy for us to really memorize, and especially when you read through sutras. These are always repeatedly, come up, so we remember them very easily. Like the 10 names of the Buddha. It's so easy to remember, but for you need to put an effort inside to remember them. For us, it's so easy. So I bet you have memorized them, because as good students as you are, I bet you have memorized. So I'm not going to test you. I trust you. Okay. So what do you see from this picture? I see the world. Who's that? Oh, Wei Fun? Oh, okay. No. Everybody unmute, please. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Good. Good morning.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I see these photos. I'm very impressed at it's very mixy, and the blue sky above, and the middle is big clouds around the mountains, and then the grounded is a netty one by one house among with trees. So in my mind, when they are the picture get together with all those, they are very how to say, it's the same tune and unison. So
Unison.
And harmony. But as Sifu said before, past life, life like a mirror. A mirror, how to treat others, they reflect.
They reflect.
This picture, yes.
I see. Okay, good. Unison. Ground, mountains, sky. Unison. Nice. Good. Thank you, Wei Fun. Thank you. Anybody else have any vision with this picture? The Chilliwack people should be very familiar with our land here. Yeah. Chilliwack doesn't have many high rises yet, huh? When we were walking up there, I don't know how it has changed now. We don't have many high rises, like only 5 or 6 floors, right? The highest is 5 or 6 floors. It doesn't show. It won't show much on a picture like this from a panorama view. So Jeremy has a okay. Where is he? I can't see. Okay, there you go. He's right at the corner. Hi.
Hi, Sifu. So I know this spot well. Dana's parents live only about 2 minutes away, so we've been to Mount Tom quite often in this walk.
Oh.
And when I'm up there, it's more what I remember seeing than what I see in the picture itself. And when I'm there, I can't help but always think what it must have been like when this was all just a single valley. You know, without all the buildings. And because it's such a beautiful valley, and you can see the lake between the mountains, I think you can just see the outline of the lake itself.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah. No, that's not the lake, actually, that's a river, shouldn't it? That's a river.
To the left is the lake.
Oh, is that right?
It's not in the picture.
Oh.
It's not in the picture.
Oh, it's not in the picture, okay. But, you know, the far end on the right-hand side, below the clouds, there is a little bit of a flat plain, grayish. That's the river.
That's the river there.
Yeah.
So I always wondered what it was like when it was first there, and then I always come to the same thought that even though it's so green that it's so busy.
Yes.
Right? That's what I always end up feeling when I'm up there is that it's so busy, but when you're sitting on Mount Tom, it's so calm.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you get that mix of both feelings.
Yes. You know what? Chilliwack used to be a lake, isn't it? The land that you see now, it was used to be a lake. Water.
I've heard that.
Yeah, water. Way back then. And then they reclaimed the land, right? And they made it into become a community. And Chilliwack, they said, they used to be the one of the very important stations of where people, the gold miners. You know, the gold miners go into the interior, and then they always stop at Chilliwack. This, I don't know. That's what I heard. Is that right? Yeah, they always stop. Yeah, so I think that's how it actually starting to build up this little community here. Yeah. So yeah, it used to be flat and water. It's just water. That's why.
Yeah, and how different that would look.
Yeah, and that's why after they reclaim the land, and the whole area that you see below is actually a sea, and we call it an aquifer. It's really like how many feet? 10 feet? Less than 10 feet. Sometimes when the water table is high, we can see water in about 4 or 5 feet, right? Yeah. So when it rains a lot, the water table becomes very high. So then we'll just, you know, see water about 4 or 5 feet. But during like dry season this year, I think the water table has really gone down to maybe 10 feet or 12 feet. So yeah, so we actually, our base here is actually water. We are actually floating on water. Yeah, yeah. So that's why the water in Chilliwack is, I think, is among one of the best water in Canada. Yeah, one of the best. Yeah, and it used to be really, really good until I think a few years ago that they started to put chlorine into it. When we first came, they never put chlorine into it, but with such a terrible farming practice, you know, the water bound to get polluted. So they started putting in chlorine, and my Chinese tea tastes very different with that chlorinated water. Yeah, yeah, tastes very different. So anybody else have any thoughts about this picture? Yes.
Good evening, Sifu.
Good evening.
I just found it really surprising to look at because it's such a stark contrast to your other photographs where we are looking in detail to something.
Yeah, focus, yeah.
And this one is actually a perspective that I'm more comfortable with, where I feel small compared to the sky and the mountains and this huge valley. And it's somehow how I see the world, where we're all very, very tiny.
Yeah.
And it's something
much bigger.
Yeah, if you step back, we're all connected, but we're actually very tiny.
Yeah.
A small piece of everything.
Yeah.
And I think they're all beautiful. It's just a perspective that I'm more comfortable with. Yeah. And again, I found it surprising. So fun.
I decided to take the picture because when we used to walk up there, I always look at it. I said, oh, so nice. Chilliwack is so beautiful, right? And so one day I decided to take my big cameras up there because with a cell phone I can't take such a good picture. And so we carry that big camera, heavy camera up there. Ever carried that for me. So I took that picture, which, you know, in the real picture it looks really much nicer than in the book. On the TV it's much nicer. So, you know, if you see it on the computer, it will look very, very different, much nicer. So it's a very different perspective. That's why we picked this picture for this passage. Yeah. Anybody else? No? Hi, Titania. Good evening.
Looking at this picture, I share the same feeling. I feel that we are so tiny and minute as compared with the whole universe, right? And also the buildings and the activities below, it looks a little bit quite busy. And as I said, and it's also like our cravings or our worries, day-to-day, right? But all these serene mountains backing us up, it represents, for me, it looks like the Buddha's teaching and also the Sangha. Yeah, everything, you know, it's not backing and we don't need to focus on those minute little things, those cravings, and they can be nothing if we don't pay attention to them. So it reminds me to look from the bigger picture and don't look inside, the tiny little things, and be open.
Good. Be open. Yeah. Good. Very good. Nice. Okay, thank you. No more. Yeah, I took these pictures because I like the view. And when I was standing up at Mount Tom, every time we went up there, I said, "Oh, Chilliwack is such a beautiful place." I remember when we first came here, it was very difficult. The difficulty nowadays is different than the difficulty that we were facing at that time. At that time, it was like a fresh start. No friends, nothing about this area, nothing about being a nun living in a foreign country, and and it's such a big piece of land at that time. 5 acres is was a lot of land. Don't know how to mow, nothing. Don't know how to, with all the vegetables, don't know how to deal with them. We grow, but, we did not have so many storage place. But gradually, we met friends. We had wonderful neighbors, and they came to teach us all this canning and jarring and freezing and blanching and whatnot. So life becomes different. At that time, when I was living here in the beginning, down in the valley, with the mountains, Chilliwack is a valley, and all surrounding Chilliwack are mountains. At the time, in the beginning, I felt that I was like an ant on a big heated wok, trying to get out. Very difficult, ants on big wok, heated wok, and trying to get out, and nowhere to get out, and got stuck in there. Then after a few years, we get used to it. You never had that expression? There is an expression in Chinese. Yeah, wok song ma ai ho. Yeah, there is a Chinese expression. Chinese are actually very clever. They have all these expressions. But anyway, so and one time there was we had a visit from a group of Sangha from Taiwan, and monks and nuns. They all came, and they look around and said, "Wow, this is such a beautiful place." I said, "Yeah, beautiful to you." And then one nun asked, "Why?" I said, "Well, it's difficult, very difficult." And she said, "Yeah, of course it's difficult. You are living in the heart of the lotus flower, because all the mountains is just like the petals, and the valley is just the center, like a center of the lotus flower." She said, "It's not easy to be able to live in such a beautiful place. You need to have merits, and you need to work hard and determined and everything." So that was an encouragement. There was an encouragement, and then actually a confirmation. And then 2006, because 2000, right? My Sifu asked me to actually build a bigger meditation hall, right? And I thought, wow, build a bigger meditation hall. This land is long, and how am I going to place the future meditation hall? on 5 acres. It's going to be like really long. I mean, the old house that we had was long, very long. So we were looking for land and everything, and look and look and look. And one day I went up to the roof to clean up the hood, the exhaust hood. And I looked. I stood up on the roof and I looked around. I couldn't find any place anywhere. We had looked at almost 100 pieces of land, and none of them felt good to us. So that day I went up to the top of the roof and cleaned up the hood. After cleaning, and I stood there and looked around, I said, this is such a beautiful place, and I've been here like, how many years? 2006, 1995, 10 years. I said, I've been here 10 years, have been established here 10 years, and where am I going? Where are we going? I said, no, we're staying here. And then we found the next piece of land. So yeah, so this is the beautiful Chilliwack. And from this picture, I see this full of opportunities. Full of opportunities here. It really depends on how you look at it. At that time, in the beginning, it was very difficult. So I was feeling like ants on a heated wok. But gradually, through the years, I see opportunities to propagate the teachings of the Buddha. Great potential, really, to do that. Not to forcefully convert people, but really have an opportunity to stay put, to practice ourselves, because it's quiet and less busy in here. Imagine if we were in Vancouver. I think people will be constantly knocking on doors. So it will be like, very busy. But here, especially in the first few 10, 15 years, hardly anybody come, and so we said that we are not open to visitors because we need to practice, but it's actually no people would come. So we said we're not open, except on Sundays and Saturday, because people don't come, right, at that time. But Saturday and Sundays, some of the volunteers do come during the weekend. So that's why we said we are closed on during weekdays. But but anyway, that is the little story that we are here for so long now, 26 years. So this is the world that we are living in. So in this passage that come along with this, the world will be brighter, happier, and more peaceful if there is more compassion. Each of us is responsible for the well-being of our future generations and the brightness of the future world. That's why we pick this picture to go with this passage. It's all really right in the mind, how you look at the world, right? So, you want to say anything about this passage, or about the picture with the passage, or whatever? Yes, Jeremy?
The passage really strikes me tonight. I try not to watch the news and things like that because it unsettles the mind, I find. But in the last little bit, I've been watching and reading, and there's so many things to unsettle us at the moment. It seems like everything is one group against another group, vaccinated against unvaccinated, conservative, whatever group you look at, there's all these animosities at the moment. And I've been really trying to stabilize and find equanimity in my own mind as of late because of all this angst. And this whole passage just instantly calms my mind down because we're responsible for our future.
Yes, we are.
It's what we make of it, not what we're fearful of.
Exactly.
Not what we're scared about, but what we go out and do.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. We are responsible,
So
totally.
I really like the passage.
Good, totally responsible. Good. Thank you, Jeremy. So, Irene?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. The passage reminds me to continue practice and on the four wonderful quality, unconditional quality.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Which is, right, metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha.
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
And then also the passage that each of us is responsible for the well-being of our future generations and the brightness of the future world. And that also reminds me on the sutra on impermanence, that the Buddha say, there is no vision clearer than wisdom, and nothing darker than ignorance, and there is no sickness worse than hatred, and no fear greater than death. If we do not keep practicing this four wonderful quality, and it's hard to really, when we were responsible for the well-being of our future, I don't know how that will go.
Yeah.
Without the four quality.
It won't happen. It won't happen. Yes. Very good. Good. Wonderful. Good. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead. No, don't worry.
This just reminds me of something that we talk about often here, which is in this saying, compassion is a seed. And if we want to think about the future, then we have to use compassion now.
Yes, yes.
And sow that seed of compassion now.
Yeah.
In order for it to
it's true.
Bear fruit in the future.
Yes, yes. If you don't plant a seed, you will never have fruits. Good. Anybody else? No? Pretty quiet tonight. Okay, so let us go on. So instead of looking at compassion, I'm looking at the perspective of the world. The world. So in the Lotus Sutra, there is a chapter that describes the world as a burning house. Remember that? Which chapter? Yeah, one of the first one. Yeah, yeah, one of the first one. You're very correct. It's one of the first. I think chapter 3. So it's called the burning house. So the world is actually a house to house us, to house animals, to house whatever that is in there. So so in there, this house we can actually divide it into a few tiers. There is this we call tilokas. That means three lokas, 3 worlds. And then the first is the Kamaloka. The Kamaloka is where we are living now. Kamalokas. And Kamalokas include house realm, includes human beings, includes some of the heavenly realms. Okay, so that's the Kamaloka. We are in Kamalokas now. Okay, and the animals realm are in Kamaloka. So Gaudi is in Kamaloka, in her own Kamaloka. Okay, then the second is the Rupa Loka. Rupa Loka is one loka above the Kamaloka. It's already in people. Beings in Rupa Loka are actually in very deep jhana samadhi. Okay, so in there, you know that there is the first jhana, second jhana, or the first jhana loka, second jhana loka, third jhana loka, and then the fourth jhana loka. So that is the Rupa Loka. And then the Arupa Loka is there is no more Rupa. That means Arupa. That's a without. It means without. Without the Rupa Loka, So is like the expansion of the mind to really infinite. So it could go all the way up to the 8th and 9th jhana. But still, it is still in the loka. It is still in the loka. It is still in some kind of loka. Loka means world, okay? So it's still in some kind of loka, even though a person reaches a Rupa Loka, okay? So the Buddha has reached a Rupa Loka long time. And he found out that even in a Rupa Loka, there is no way out of sufferings. Eventually, when all the good karma that put you into a Rupa Loka become exhausted, you will come back down according to whatever karma seeds that you're still carrying. So even in Arupa Loka, is really not the goal. Okay, it's not the final goal. So the Buddha eventually said, no, not in there. So according to the teachings, when he was sitting in meditation, he actually went into the 4th jhana, and in the 4th jhana, he actually realized the truth. So that was a very strong and deep samadhi, of course, because with 4th jhana is already in the Rupa Loka. So it's not all the desires in the Kama Loka are completely exhausted and eradicated. So that's the world that we are in the Kama Loka. So there is this another word to actually describe the world that we are living in besides the Kama Loka is called Loka Dhatu. So this Loka Dhatu, the world that we are living in right now, is actually stretches across a time, and also stretches across a space. So time and space make up with the Loka Dhatu, the world, Sai Gai. Sai is time, Gai is space. Okay, so that Loka Dhatu is actually stretches across these two perimeters. Yeah, perimeters. From the perspective of space, the universe doesn't have any actually what do you call boundary? Yeah, like horizon, right? And in the matter of time, you can't see the horizon either. You can you? Can you see in the matter of time? No. Remember one of the sutta actually we talk about is beginningless, right? Beginningless. You tie all the twigs that you collected from the forest and put it there, one branch, one bundle, this is my mom, another bundle, this is my grandmother, another bundle, this is my great-grandmother, this is my great-great-grandmother. You go on, until you exhaust all the wood, all the trees, all the branches in the forest. You can still not find the original of your family. That is beginningless. So even with time, you really cannot find the beginning of time. So the world described in the Lotus Sutra is called a burning house. And why is it called the burning house? Fire. Fire. So in the Buddha's teachings, he said the world is a burning house because the world is a world filled with all afflictions, defilements. As you said, the land could represent busyness and craving and anger and desires, right? And the mountains and the sky could represent other things. So there are kalpas. The Buddha said there are kalpas. There are turbidities of the world, or in the world. So the first is the turbidity of the time. Remember that we talked about turbidities before, right? You still remember how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Be confident. 5, yes. 5 turbidities. What is the first one, if you remember? The Chinese should remember. Give a. How many turbidities? 5. Which 5 turbidities. they are counting. So you see, this is how we remember things, yeah? So the first one, okay, I'll break the story. The first one is kalpa, the time, the turbidity of time. What does that mean? Remember what does that mean? You remember? Not really. Okay. Everybody is pretending that they are jotting down notes. Okay. So this is the turbidity of, we are in the turbidity of time right now in this world. The world filled with so much crisis, so much hunger, so much illness, and so many wars and conflicts. This is the kalpa. This is the time, the turbidity of time now. So when the defilement of this world age, when war and natural disasters are really rampant. Okay, so we can see it now, isn't it? So this is called the turbidity with time. And then the second one is the turbidity with view. So turbidity with view, that means the mind is confused. The mind is, like a lot of times, because the mind is confused, so it's easily resulted in confused actions and unwholesome actions. And we can see that now, right? Confusion, even about the pandemic, there is like so many conspiracies, with or whatever, or with different nations, and so but most of all is the Buddha said the turbidity with views is people have the wrong view about the truth. Okay, about the truth, and the truth, which truth? The truth that was taught by the Buddha. Okay. So people are using the Buddha's teachings to what? For their own benefits, money, yeah, and so that is like, oh, it seems to be, yes, this is the Buddha's teachings, Buddhism, but when you start to look at how people behave, how people what kind of things that they gain, and whatever that they gain, how do they use that gain? Remember, we studied that in the Buddhist words. You have to check your teacher, whether they are they are deep into the craving, desires, and whatnot, right? So this is the turbidity with view. That means people can easily guide you off the right path. It seems that whatever they're talking seems to be very logical. It seems that they do coincide with a lot of the Buddhist teachings, but they are a lot of them are really doing it for their own sake, own gain. So the third view is the third is the turbidity with afflictions. So afflictions, defilements, because we are filled with greed, anger, animosity, and ignorance. So those people in the world nowadays are really like to dwell into desires, stinginess, fighting with each other, arrogance, and passions and all that. So you can see that this is really rampant now, isn't it? Like look at cars, look at brands. You know, how much you pay for a branded car and how much you pay for a tin pot car. What are cars for? You know, so this is called the turbidity with afflictions. Okay, and then the next one is turbidity. This is a little bit more difficult to actually to understand. Living beings, this turbidity with living beings, is really what it says is because living beings now in this Loka Dhatu, they don't believe in cause and effect. They don't believe in morality. They don't believe. They are lacking of a lot of merits. They're lacking of wholesome seeds. So they when they don't believe in cause and effect, and when they are immoral, definitely they will behave wrongly. They will commit a lot of unwholesome deeds, right? Then the human condition, the world will definitely be affected by these people. Right? Look at the world that we are in now, and remember the world that we were in before. It wasn't like this. I remember when we were little, we were poor, and sometimes we don't have food on the table. Mom would ask me to go. You go to the market and ask the uncle who has a fish, who was a fish vendor, to lend us $2 of fish. And we go. I was, can we have $2 of fish? And then he would ask, you have money to pay today? I said no. Then he would put it into his book. And when we have money, we go and pay back. And we won't cheat them. We won't cheat each other, you know. And they don't mind lending us those food. And even cloth, my mom buy cloths to make us clothes. And sometimes we don't have money to go. We didn't have money. Mom would borrow those cloths, and when we have money, we pay back. And I still vividly remember this. But it doesn't exist anymore nowadays. No, how can you go out and borrow food, and they put it in a little book, and they trust that you will come back to pay. So that's why when we first came. On the far end of Press Road, there was a farm. I don't know whether it's still there, with a windmill, with a big windmill there, and they used to sell peppers and cucumbers, and they just put a little mug there, a little can there with a hole, with an opening. It's an honesty system. And then they have a little book there. And they said, please put down any comments. I said, and I wrote down, I said, thank you. Thank you for that trust in us. Thank you for the trust in the good qualities of human being. And it's very rare that there are still people like you to have those trust in the good qualities of human being. I wrote it down. I literally wrote it down. And that is really wonderful, relationship that one can put upon others. So this is the turbidity with living beings. And then the fifth turbidity is the turbidity with lifespan or life. That means because in the old days, it was said that in the old days, the lifespan was much longer. Much longer in the very, very old days. Okay? They could live up to 500 years. And now, look, we said that we live until 80 or 100 is old already. We say that the human lifespan is expanding, is increasing. Actually, no. But we just didn't see the old days, right? We didn't know about that. That's why it's called the turbidity with lifespan. So this is in the chapter that's called the burning house in the Lotus Sutra, is an analogy, is a simile to express the world that we are living in. It's just like a burning house. So it is talking about how to escape from that burning house. So remember that, and also that chapter actually stresses the importance and the urgency for us to actually find an escape from human condition, not to be so stubbornly attached to human condition. And so in that chapter, the Buddha said it is very urgent that you all have to leave the house right now because the house is on fire. He said to his children. But the children were enjoying whatever they were enjoying at that time in their own space, because they did not see that outside there is other possibility. Just like us. We, living in our own life now, we only see what we can see. But we cannot see what is way beyond us. But the Buddha saw it. The father saw that, and the father told the children to come out from that house, burning house. And he tried to lure them, right? Remember that? Telling them that what are outside? Carriages, right? Carriages. 牛車, 馬車, bull carriage, horse carriage, and what is the big one? 大白牛車, the big white ox, right? The Lotus Sutra is actually very interesting. You should go back to read it again. So remember this. So the Buddha said it is actually very, very important that we see the urgency to leave this human condition. And that is the vow, to leave this human condition. Otherwise, we are so indulged into it and immersed into it, and we so enjoy it. It's not that we don't enjoy our life. We enjoy our life, but we don't attach to it. Remember that, okay? So the Buddha said, how can we come out of the fire? How can we come out? And of course, in the Buddha's teaching, there is a practice that we help each other to come out of those fire. And as Irene said, there is this called the Brahma Viharas. the Brahma Viharas. Brahma Vihara, Brahma, you know, the 70 beings. Vihara is where they live, the abode. So it's called the abodes of Brahma. So this is like the virtues that we need to develop. And the Brahma Viharas are also called the four immeasurables, or Apamana. And in the Mahayana tradition, it's called the four infinite minds. And they are, of course, the four, right? So there are four parts to it. First part is called metta. Is the first part is called metta, chi, the loving kindness or benevolence. And second part is karuna, compassion. And third is mudita, empathetic joy. And the fourth is upekkha, equanimity. So we will look at metta and karuna, mostly metta. Metta is the foundation for all these three follows to be built up. So, metta, metta is bringing loving kindness. You remember the story in the Dhammapada. The monks were given the objects of meditation were sent to the forest by the Buddha. And in the forest, there were so many beings, visible, invisible. They were really, the monks found that they were disturbed by these beings. Right? They couldn't practice. So they went back to visit the Buddha and told the Buddha, it's too noisy there. It's too busy there. We can't practice. They are disturbing us. The Buddha said, you lack one very strong weapon. Remember that story in the Dhammapada? Yeah, you lack one very strong weapon. And the monks were surprised. Weapon? We need to use weapon? And the Buddha said, yes, take this, go back there. So he gave them the Metta Sutta. Of course, he not gave them the Metta Sutta in paper, he taught the Metta Sutta to them. So the monk went back with the Metta Sutta, with the teachings, Metta, and then they practiced very safely and eventually attained the enlightenment there. So bringing loving kindness, you know, and embracing those beings. And then karuna is alleviating pain. Okay, so remember there are many stories of the Buddha displaying metta and karuna in the practice, in his teachings. So metta, it's what is metta and karuna? It is actually unconditional, one-way giving. So there is no expectation, okay? No expectation. And also, there is no close or distant. Oh, you're closer than me? You're closer to me? I'll send you more metta. Oh, you are not such a good friend. I'll send you little metta. No, there is no close or distant, okay? And then there is no expectation because it's unconditional one-way giving. You don't expect any return at all. The return or reward of like material returns, giving gifts, or praise, or whatever, no expectation, because it's unconditional one-way giving. It's only giving, no returning, okay? So, and then there is no boundary. With race or with nationality, rich or poor, religions or belief. Oh, you are in my same caste. I'll have more compassion for you. I'll have more loving kindness for you. You're not in my same caste. No, I don't. No. Don't. I can't send you any metta. I can't send you any karuna. It doesn't happen like that. When something is unconditional, it is unconditional. There is no conditions attached to it. And you treat everybody, everyone, every beings equally. Because you see, they are the future Buddha. And there is no particular space or place or time, anywhere, anytime, anybody, any beings. But with metta and karuna, especially with metta, why? Because metta is the foundation to build up the other three qualities. There is one very important quality that one has to have, is there has to have an unsurpassed wisdom. Because if you are not wise, that metta could be a very harmful loving kindness. Why? Because, like as a mother, or as a very say for a mother, if a mother see the child is not behaving well, but because the mother is a mother and she loves the child and she doesn't want to scold the child or punish the child or whatever, so she allows the child to behave like that. And once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and because the mother is not wise, so she doesn't know how to really wisely love and teach the child. And eventually the child would develop such a habit. For example, say, I don't want to use drug or alcohol, that's too common. For example, swearing. If you do not correct the child once, twice, 3 times, because, oh no, it's okay. It's just, once in a blue moon, no problem, it's okay. I love them. Oh yeah, if you don't correct them when they are freshly started, 1 year, 2 years, they will swear just like out of a habit, right? Because you're not wise. You don't see the damage that it's doing to the child behavior. Verbal conduct. He is destroying his own verbal conduct, and you are helping him to destroy his own verbal conduct, because that is a blind love. That is not a wise love. Okay? So that you have to have that wisdom. Otherwise in the Chinese saying is 好心做壞事, right? You have a good heart, but you do the wrong thing. Right? So that is metta, and then what is compassion? Compassion is a purity, okay? Because metta and compassion, metta and karuna, they are qualities. They are pure qualities, or qualities with purity. Because there's unconditional. There is no expectation. There is no close or distance. Everybody is equal. And there is wisdom. So it's bound to be pure. And it transcends, it allows one to transcend. It allows you to transcend from being a mundane person to supramundane person. Okay, and compassion, of course, that needs to have wisdom. Compassion is not compassion is. Compassion has all these qualities, okay? That is a wrong expression. Compassion has all these qualities, okay? And compassion also, it can also be, compassion is. It is a great vow, a great vow. You vow, it's just like some great beings in history. They vow to liberate their own people from sufferings. Right, Gandhi. Right, you see that is a great vow, and that is really selfless compassion. And compassion has to be selfless. And you rather suffer yourself than letting your people suffer. That is a great vow. Okay, and it is a generosity, a dana, it's giving. Okay, so I don't know whether you have heard about the story of Sariputra. Sariputra one time he was on alms and he saw this young man. He was already an arahant at that time, but he thought that he will start to practice the Bodhisattva vow. And so one time he was begging for alms and he saw this young man crying, sitting on the side of the road and crying. And he asked this young man, why are you crying? And this young man said, my mom was sick, and I needed medicine for my mom. And Sariputra asked him, so what kind of medicine you need? Can you get it? He said, no, I can't, because I need human eye as a medicine for my mom. And Sariputra thought, oh, human eyes. I've got 2 eyes. I vow to walk on the Bodhisattva path, and I've got 2 eyes, and I can give him 1 eye. So he dug the right eye out, and give it to the young man. There you go, young man, take your eye and go back and I wish your mom will be well. And this young man said, you haven't heard me completely yet. I need the left eye, I don't need the right eye. Sariputra said, you need the left eye? And Sariputra thought, well, I have vowed to help sentient beings to come out of their sufferings. And I need to do this, because I vow to walk on the Bodhisattva path. So he said, okay, I'll give you my left eye. So he dug out the left eye and give it to the young man. The young man, at that time, Sariputra was already blind. And the young man, but he heard what the young man did. The young man took the eye and sniffed it and said, ooh, it stings. I heard that if the person is a great practitioner, the whole body will have a kind of fragrance, scent. But your eye stings, it smells so fishy. I'm sure that you are not a great practitioner. And he threw the eye onto the ground and he crushed it with his foot. And Sariputra was crying inside his heart. He said, wow, sentient beings are very difficult to liberate because they are so ignorant. I think I will give up this Bodhisattva path very easily, because sentient beings are very difficult to really to teach. But you see, this young man, who was this young man? This young man was one of the devas. He disguised himself. He transformed himself to become a young man to come and test Sariputra. And he said, Sariputra, you had a great vow. You had a great heart. May your eyes return. So that was the story. So that is the kind of generosity, that kind of dana that we are talking about. It's not the material dana that we are talking about. Okay, so, and of course, with the compassion, of course, that is an infinite. There is no horizon, no boundary, nothing. So, once in a while we have a thought of compassion. I tell you, that is not really not karuna yet. Way, way far from karuna. So with karuna, it is really infinite. Okay? So, let me see. Wow. There's still a lot. I better don't tell the story. You want me to go on with the story or not? No. Well, okay. I'll tell you this story about infinite. It could be infinite, but it could be finite too. Okay. So this guy, there is this man. He is a very cruel man. But one day, don't know why, he saw a patch of black stuff on the floor, and he looked. Oh, it was like a spider womb. There's thousands of spiders in there. So he said, oh, he was going to step on it, but he said, no. So he didn't kill those spiders. So he left. At the end of his life, he was reborn in the hell's realm. He was reborn in the hell's realm and going through all these difficulties in the hell. But one day he was there. And then he saw right there was like silver threads coming from the sky, and he was down there suffering, and he also saw these silver threads coming from the sky, thousands, tens of thousands of them. And so he actually hold on to these threads, silver threads, and he saw they were the spider threads. So the spider threads actually drew him away from the hell. But then he was very happy. Oh, these were the spider threads. So he was climbing and climbing. But because there were tens of thousands of spider threads, so the other beings were holding on to those spider threads too. He looked down and saw, wow, so many beings behind me. But these spider threads are so fragile, they could easily break. No, I can't. Then if they break, then I will fall back into the hell. So he kicked those people down. And with that mind, those spider threads broke, and he fell back into the hell's realm. You see, those spider threads appear because of that good thought that he had when he was alive. He didn't trot onto those little spiders. And of that, this one thought of compassion, not to kill, alleviate all the sufferings of these little spiders. The spiders came to repay whatever that he did for them, not to have killed them. But because of his habitual thinking, hey, what? He said, no, I'm more important, you go. So he kicked everybody off. Then he killed all these beings, and these spider threads just boom, broke. You see? So once in a blue moon, the once in a blue moon thought of karuna, compassion, is not enough. It has to be a continuous stream of compassion. So that's why Bodhisattva, that's why the Guan Yin菩萨is called Dai Qi Dai Bei, the great compassion, great metta, Maha, great compassion, Maha Metta, Maha Karuna, great compassion, great metta. So, and you can have an infinite description of compassion. Okay, so I said compassion is like Buddha, in the Buddha's teaching, it says compassion is like good medicines. Remember, compassion here not just mean karuna. Actually, it actually means metta and karuna together. Okay, so in Chinese it's divided into two words, and also in Pali it's divided into two words. But in English it says loving kindness and compassion. So so it's also divided into two words. But two words. So I use compassion because I'm so used to this. But anyway, it's metta and karuna, okay? So it's compared like good medicines. So the body is ill, we need to take medicine. But this medicine is for the mind, okay? And it's like brightness. Like brightness, because brightness can, shield away all the darkness, right? And this metta and karuna is just like brightness that shines through the darkness of the world, okay? And metta and karuna is just like fountain of water. Imagine that you're walking in the desert, and if there is rain, then it's just like the fountain of life. Okay, so it's the fountain of life, and it's like a tree shade. You know, especially on a hot day, we stand or sit under a tree. It's cool. And it's also a shelter for many beings. Okay? And they are just like friends, great friends, wholesome friends. All the time, next to us, no matter rain or shine. And they are like families. Of course, most of the times, like unconditional help, to provide unconditional help and assist us at any difficult times. And the last of all, compassion is like chintamani. What is chintamani? Chintamani is like a jewel, a crystal ball. But this crystal ball is not the mundane world crystal ball. It's the crystal ball that is super mundane crystal ball. You throw it into a filthy bowl of water, it will purify. So it's called Chindamani. It purifies its sentiments, it filters all the pollutants. And it breaks all the illusions, breaks all the ignorance, and it brings calmness in a confused world. And it brings brightness into a dark world. Okay, and you can also, go on to describe compassion. All right. So, I haven't finished, but I will continue next time with this, because the next passage is 我们 let us become better human beings so we can actually go on together with this. Loka tattoo. Don't forget the Loka tattoo that we are living in. It's a world filled with confusion. It's a world filled of a lot of ignorance. It's a world filled of a lot of darkness. But we don't need to follow that path. We have another path. We have a bright path. We have a wise path. We have a path which is filled with metta and karuna and mudita and upekkha. So let us all follow that path. Okay? And live in a bright world. And make the future world to be better for the generations to come. Because what we are doing now is for the future. What we have done in the past, we can see it right now. Look at the world right now. Crazy wildfires, crazy floods, crazy storms. Where does that craziness come from? What we have done to the environment. So what we are doing right now is for the future. Whether it's for the future generations of yourself or for the future generations of your kids. Definitely we will be reborn again. We haven't reached that stage of total liberation. Do you want to live in a world which is completely filled with filth? No, right? So there is an urgency there, a real urgency there. We need to save water. We need to save resources. We need to be more mindful when we spend money. We need to be more mindful when we buy things. Do we need it or do we want it? So let us make the world a better place for ourselves and for our future generations to come. All right? Yeah, it's always a very serious thing when we think about the future. Yeah, it's so grim, isn't it? Never mind. Everything goes in the circles. Because of impermanence, a dark world could become a bright world. Because of impermanence, a bright world could become a dark world. Same. All right. Okay, let us dedicate. You have nothing to say, right? Okay. So may these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to liberate from their own sufferings, miseries, and be truly happy, peaceful, and safe. So may you all be happy and peaceful, safe and secure.